Hmm. Okay, I guess we'll get started because this is most of the shared services folks who signed up. I know some of the um, your directors and your quality managers also signed up, but I understand they've been called to a meeting with DFD. That's too bad. Oops, here comes somebody else. But since the majority of you are here, I think we'll get started. In a moment, I'm going to turn things over to Amanda Cross-Descala, who you may or may not have met already. She is the manager of the ECE platform, shared services platform for NJAEYC, and we're really fortunate to have her skills and expertise here today because she's been working really hard on making sure that the platform itself is a very useful document. The other thing is that Amanda also has experience in managing shared services alliances. She has been involved with the United Way, United in Care project over the past couple of years that's been working predominantly with family childcare providers in developing shared services. And some of you may know that Amanda also wrote a book, and I'll let her talk about that when and if she's ready to, and bring you up to speed. And I know a couple of you were at her presentation this past weekend at NJYC and probably are fortunate enough to now own a copy of that material. So that's really a great asset. I'm going to give you a couple of other things. Amanda is going to do her presentation, and she is happy for you to ask questions during the presentation. So if you want to take yourself off of mute so that you can ask a question, you don't have to put it in the chat box. You can ask it directly, not a problem. In a moment, I'm going to launch a quiz for Amanda so that she can get some background information about some things that she knows. I'm not going to put up a poll at the end to see how you felt about this, but if this presentation, but if there's something that you want us to know about the presentation, I hope that you will take the time to give us some feedback. That's always really useful. Any questions about how we're going to manage the webinar? Okay. Amanda KDS, do you want me to launch the poll to start with?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I just wanted to get an idea of what your usage experience is and that sort of thing with Acquire for Hire on the platform before starting this.
Okay, so on your screen, you should be able to see a poll. It's a very brief one. And if you would please take a moment to answer the questions, that would be very helpful. We're still waiting for 2 more people to finish their responses.
All right.
Okay. Amanda, can you see it, or I'll share the results?
Yeah, you can share. I was just writing it. So I think this is good for today's presentation. So 9 of you are not yet using Acquire for Hire in your alliance. There's really 2 ways to go about using the application, and that would be individually for each alliance member to set up an account and use one for their center and their program, or as an alliance as a benefit to the members with the coordinator kind of managing it. And we'll talk about both of those options. But it's good to see that 9 of you are not using it yet, because I think let me go ahead. I'm going to stop the share. Oh, wait,
Okay.
what happened? There we go.
I stopped it. It's fine.
Okay, perfect. I think Acquire for Hire is an application and a piece of the platform and an opportunity for programs that there's not a lot we can do right now to solve some of their problems and issues that are arising for them with staff recruitment and retention. But using Acquire for Hire is something that we can do to support them right now. It's a way to save them money immediately in job postings, and I'll show you some of that. It is a way to support them in the process of hiring. Two people did say that they're using it as an alliance, so I'll ask for them to share their experiences and share some of the other experiences that I've heard from other alliance coordinators. But it's a really great resource if that is something that your alliance has identified as a need within your program. And even if it's not, it's something that they can use individually within their programs. So let me start with a PowerPoint, and then I'm going to go into the application. I need to share just so I have a million windows open. I want to show you a bunch of different things to try to be as helpful as I can with learning the application today. Oh, okay. Oh, geez. I must have moved that. That goes all the way at the bottom. I'm just going to go back to it later, which is fine. Okay. We'll skip over that one and I'll move it down. So I do want to talk about, we're going to talk about recruiting staff, mostly Acquire for Hire, but I also want to mention and show you some of the other resources that are on the platform under that recruiting staff section, just so that you can share with your members, highlight that for them, use that as a tool in their work and your work, if that's something that they've identified as a need. So I have some goals for us today. One is to be able to locate those resources on the NJ Shared Services platform. If anybody does not have access to the platform yet yourself, you can just drop a note to me in the chat, and at the end, I'll reach out to you, send you the form, and we'll get you set up with an access account too, so that you can see some of the things and access the things that I'll show you. But I want to locate those resources for you. Second, to review the Acquire for Hire app and the workflow on the app and how that works and some of the nuances of setting up the accounts and what all that looks like. To discuss Acquire for Hire as an alliance tool or as an individual resource for members, if that's what they see as a benefit and use for them. And then I have some flyers that I want to familiarize you with. I'll send you copies and I'll post those on that the NJ AEYC password protected page that we have that you all have access to. Again, if you don't have access to that, you can let me know and I will get you access to that too. That's where I keep all of the resources, handouts, tools, anything that I use, highlighting any piece of the platform for all of you. So we can get that for anybody who needs it as well. But I will review those flyers. There's a couple of frequently asked questions and setup for Acquire for Hire and that sort of thing. So hopefully at the end of the presentation, you will be ready to use the platform and the app, the Acquire for Hire app, to meet the needs of your alliance. Okay, so these are some of the things. I'm going to take you there in a minute. There are HR tools that we just talked about. The app is Acquire for Hire. There is a number of resources on compensation and benefits and a new wage tool. If say you're creating a job posting and you are not sure, what do you want to, what's common, what's happening around the state? Do you even have a wage tool? I know we hosted a session a couple of weeks ago about how to create a wage tool for a program. And what are the benefits of not only recruiting staff with the wage tool that shows this would be my hiring rate, but if I have this education and this experience and I work here for this many years, this is where I'm going. So as a retention tool as well. And something that shows, the benefits of working for a program, which is a really great thing to add to a job posting and talk about in the interview process. so that staff understand that this isn't just someplace where maybe they're looking to be hired right now, but something where they can build a long-term career and want to stay. So all of these pieces of the platform, and I'll show you where all of them are, the HR tools, the app, Acquire for Hire, the compensation and benefits page, and the wage tool are all really great resources when we're recruiting staff and when we're building job ads and placing job ads and interviewing and all of that for staff.
Amanda, is it
Yeah.
okay if we just survey right now, just by a show of hands? How many of you are already accessing at least the shared services platform? Okay. And how many of you are already using the Acquire for Hire tool?
Okay,
Okay, thank you. That helps us.
perfect. I'm trying to keep some notes here too, Amanda, but we can share afterwards also. Okay. So let me, again, the highest priority for programs that I talk to across the state right now is this need for recruiting and retaining staff. And we have tools on the platform that can help them save time, save money, and reach these goals. But Acquire for Hire lets them save time and money right now. So when you use the Acquire for Hire application, it takes your job posting. Say when I was a center director, I needed to hire an assistant teacher, a classroom, an infant lead teacher, and maybe some summer help. Those are 3 job postings. If I post those on Indeed, I'm paying per posting and usually per click, right? So somebody may click into my job posting just to read what's happening. They may have they click out, they don't apply for the job, but you're accumulating if you set a daily limit, you can set a daily limit on Indeed and on other posting sites, you can set like a max limit. But I mean, I could have paid $350 in a few days sometimes on one job ad. The great thing about Acquire for Hire is that when they post the job, they fill it out in the application right on the shared services platform. There is no fee to post your jobs. It also goes to more than one job posting site, including Indeed, including LinkedIn, and some of the flyers I'll show you will list out some of the other places where it does go. It changes some of the posting sites, but Indeed and LinkedIn are the most popular. They're always there, but it's included in their usage of the platform. So we're immediately saving them money because I could spend $350 and not get any candidates. I might schedule candidates and they don't show up for the interview, or they're just not the right fit, or, and that money is building really quickly per position that they're posting. So it's an immediate cost savings for them to use the Acquire for Hire platform. Again, there's not a lot we can do right now to help them with some of these issues, but this is something that we can do right now. And we can save them time by using some of these templates and resources that I'll show you. There's resources for pretty much every step of the hiring and retention process. And there's also, templates within the job posting. So if they have something already created in Word, they can copy and paste, open both, and just copy it in, save the same job posting for later. It keeps it all in a really nice workflow within the platform. So let me, again, Acquire for Hire I will show you, you can access through a URL directly, which I will show you. So when you go to the platform, this is not what it looks like this. You log into NJ Shared Services, you see this as the homepage. And becoming an HR expert is all of the HR tools right here on the front page here. It's one of the most used tools on the platform. You can also get to these resources by coming into Successful Program Management. You'll find as you come onto the platform, you can get to things a number of different ways. But I will tell you, and I will say this in every presentation that I do on the platform, if you look for something for more than 5 minutes and you can't find it, just email me or text me and I will help you. There's a lot of stuff here. And when you're learning it, sometimes you can click around for a while to look for what you're finding, and it can seem overwhelming. So just reach out and I'll help you find whatever you're looking for as well. Okay. So you can click in here to get into the HR section. I will show you that if you scroll down, Acquire for Hire has a click through right on this front page as well all the time. So I will go back to that, but I am going to click in first to this becoming an HR expert. Okay. And again, so here's early childhood jobs. Again, you can click into there from right here. And let me just move the boxes. Here's some HR policies, must have, and a little highlighted box on this side. But as you can see over here, there's a lot of resources here just to use before you start posting jobs and prepping for that. So if somebody needs a job description, there's templates in here for job descriptions, and you can click in. It gives you a lot of things and information about job descriptions in general, how to use them, how to select it, add, delete, and customize the templates. And then it gives you a lot of templates down here. They're in English and in Spanish. There's some general ones that you can read over, and then a template for you to customize.
Amanda?
Yes.
How do the Alliance members get hooked up with this website? Do they do the same thing we did? We get in touch with you and you send us a form and we send it to them?
Yep, you can send them that Google form. And I can send it. I can probably access it when I'm done here and just drop it right in the chat too, but I can send it out to everybody again. We're using the Google form just so I can keep track of all of you. And then if you have Alliance members, I've started to reach out and we'll be reaching out to the rest of you so we can make sure that all of your Alliance members do have access. And if they don't, I'll help them set it up. Yeah.
Okay,
but
great. Thank you.
They all will have access to the platform. Yes.
By the
Okay.
way, that email with the information and the form on it has been previously shared with all of you. I can go back and find your original email, Amanda, and make sure that I resend it as well,
Okay.
so that everybody can have the access. I know a couple of newer Shared Service Alliance project coordinators have asked me to resend that just in the last couple of days. The key piece here is that the membership in the Alliance is only for the directors who are members of your Alliance. It's not for their individual staff. It's not to be shared with other people. This is a benefit of being a member of a Shared Service Alliance. Otherwise, there is a cost to join the ECE platform and NJYC. That's a benefit that's being offered, and you can advertise that as a benefit of being a Shared Service Alliance member.
Yeah.
I can tell you the form you sent me in October, it's the same form?
Mm-hmm.
The Google
Okay.
form, yeah.
Yes.
There's a Google form for access, and there's also a Google form for just the Alliance coordinators, and for that access to that that password protected NJAYC site. So that really isn't for the individual Alliance members, but more for you in case, say, like you wanted a flyer from this that I'm going to show you, and you wanted to locate it quickly and download it and send it to your members or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so the form that you'll be sending us is for the members.
Yes, yeah. And I
Thank
can
you.
resend that other Google form too if you need also.
Yeah.
And
it
that, sorry.
It's a great question, Brianna. And also, if you follow up with an email to Amanda Cross-Descala and tell her who your members are, so that she knows when those forms come back to her, that these are people that you've already pre-approved to be able to use the platform.
Okay, how much notice do you need?
I check that form a couple of times a week because it's slower now. So if you know that you have some people signing up and you shoot me an email, I'll just go on that day and approve their memberships. Because what happens is they'll come in, I'm already signed in, so I can't really show you, but they'll go to the platform and it'll say, request an account. And they'll put in their email and their information. And there's one drop down that says NJ CCR, I think it says CCR&R Alliance team member, and they'll choose that. And then, but I will see them on the form anyway. So I'll know to connect it even if they put in the wrong information.
Yeah. It'll
Great,
just speed up the
thank you.
process.
Yeah, yeah. If you let me
Sure.
know, then I'll check it. And one thing just to let you know, as you have members and you're checking with them on, have they signed up for for access? Have they accessed the platform? Are they using it regularly? That's something that when we start to look at how your members are using the platform, when I log in and I look at our report, I can tell when their account was created and I can view their last 4 logins. So we know how often they're using it. We can tell what the 10 most popular pages are. The 10 most popular pages always include, very amusingly, the reset password page and like acquire for hire and the forms and templates and all of that. So. Okay, so yeah, so the general job descriptions are here. They're samples. Sometimes it's really great to just, check what you have and what you're using. If you don't have something, this is a great time to create it. And if you do, sometimes it's just a great time to look over what you have. And even in a group, with your alliance members, if everybody has job descriptions and that's something that they want to work on, looking at what they have in common, things that, maybe they want to add to theirs to strengthen the job description. It's not just what's here, but it can start a really great conversation between them and building that relationship with each other as well. And then the general template is here at the bottom. Let's see. So job descriptions, there's job ads if they're uncomfortable or, sometimes it's just not something that we need to spend a lot of time creating from scratch. There's job ad templates for teachers assistants, a general template, and then a general template with the name hidden and the name visible. And there's a lot of different options for them here to look at. There's also a template kind of different fields within the Acquire for Hire app, which I'll show you in a moment. So job ads is here, job descriptions is here, compensation and benefits, if they're looking for information on what to offer. I will tell you, so this is one of the pages that we went over in the last session that I did, the benefits and compensation sample 1, template 1, then another one, template sample and another template. And then down here is that salary scale sample and a salary scale template, as well as a benefits sample. We talked about doing some research about New Jersey specific, like what is minimum wage? What is the progression of minimum wage? What's commonly being paid at different centers in the central, south, and north for teacher assistant? What's a common pay at Target, at Starbucks, at some of these other stores? So we know what we're looking at and what we're working in. I've started that page and it will go down here under salary scales template when it's done. But I did start on that. It just takes some research and time to put that. And again, if you see that page and you think there's something that would be really beneficial to your providers to add to it, again, I'm always happy to add and edit information that you think will be beneficial to them. So, but this is a really great, fairly new piece of the platform that just helps them look at, what am I offering? What am I paying? What other benefits do I have? And that sort of thing as they're getting ready to use Acquire for Hire. Okay. So this is how you get in to the platform, this Early Childhood Jobs NJ. I think I'm already signed in. Am I not? No, I'm not. Good. So this is what it'll look like when you come to this page to begin with. It tells you that it's free to post. It's 8 job boards in one. It goes through what they are. This will change over time. You'll see like sometimes they'll be different. Indeed and LinkedIn are really the most popular. It shows up in Google results, so it automatically goes into that. There is a direct link to the Acquire for Hire app. So say somebody was searching Early Childhood Jobs NJ, because that's what it's called, they could come right to that job listing to view jobs. You can manage everything in one online platform. Everything's in there, just kind of like it is on Indeed and those sites. And there is a little like boxes for different different templates and little pieces. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but fields. Thank you. Little like each field, like title, description, duties, all of that. And there is an FAQ here. This is similar to the sheet, but you can download this if you wanted. The one I'm going to send you is this form, but specific to New Jersey. So instead of acquire for hire job boards, it says NJ ECE shared resources. And it goes through, you know, it's free if you're a member of the platform. You can have multiple site capabilities. Will I be charged? How long does it take? Different things like that. How long if I don't cancel it? They're active for 30 days. Just some general frequently asked questions. And then down here, some of the things that I was just saying, right? How do I make my job post stands out? How do I attract the staff that I'm hoping will click on my jobs and think that this is a place where I want to work? Not just because of the pay, but this idea of workplace culture is really, really important right now. So how do I create a positive workplace culture? And how do I demonstrate that so that when people click, there's a number of jobs, they want to click on mine and they want to come to my interview. Note to Indeed account holders. So there's some specific notes here that will say like, you have an active Indeed account for your program. How do I deal with this? If I have a sign-on bonus, this will different things that will be considered like red flags or things if your job title is really broad, how to be more specific. How do I delete a job? And what do I do if my question is not answered here? So just some general frequently asked questions.
Amanda, do you have any data that says, you were talking about giving some description about the uniqueness of a program or whatever, because people are looking for that. If folks are using that as a technique, are they more likely to find better hires, or are people more likely to be an applicant to that agency?
So just in talking to schools across the state, I have found some schools who have worked really hard on workplace culture, they're not having as big of a staffing issue. And that may just be because they have built that, that's very known in the area, in the community. But it's hard for some schools to focus on that. You know, I have one school who's really small and they only have 4 staff members and they're looking to get to 6 or 7. And it's really hard to focus on workplace culture when they're just trying to stay open and keep all the classrooms running. So it's such a widespread problem right now that I think it's something that everybody wants to focus on. And I do think that people who are making the change and really focusing on that, it is a way to retention, right? But recruiting is still really, really complicated right now. Although I have heard from people using the platform and just in general that it seems to be getting a little better. That, oh, I've been trying to hire and I haven't been able to hire anybody. And now in the past 3 months, I've been able to hire 3 people and working on training them and keeping them. But then the concern is retaining them once they're there as well.
Well, you sparked something in me that's related, but not specifically, so I won't take too much away from it. But I think the way that people have been talking, and all of you guys on the call right now have been talking about what the needs of your community are, working on workplace culture within your shared service alliance could be a great opportunity for something that people would be eager to wrap their arms around right away, because most programs are really struggling with how to keep staff. And that I think that goes a long way towards staff retention. Yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've heard some really interesting, like simple things, like giving people off on the day of their birthday. Little things that really don't have too much to do with compensation, but, you know, giving them the paid day off on their birthday. Just taking little steps. One school was telling me that they now once a month do where all of the employees go home with like a dinner for the night. So it's like a pasta, a dish, a salad, a dessert, you know, and it's just it's not a huge thing, right? But it is for somebody who's worked all day and who just, also wants to feel appreciated in the job that they're doing. And there's just, I think, interesting ideas and things that we can learn from each other and ways to increase partnership with staff. So they're not just doing what you want them to do, but they really have a voice in what the program that you're building, and a lot of neat ideas. I think it would be a great thing for the alliances to work on.
Amanda, is there anything on here about gearing ads towards the different generations? Each generation is looking for something different. It's almost, comical is not the right word, but there's very clear lines of distinction between Generation X, millennials, and Generation Zs. Is there anything on here to assist the alliance members with gearing towards the generations that they'll be actually hiring?
I'd have to look. I'm actually going to write that down to look for you. There is a huge marketing and social media piece on here. It's under marketing, but I would have to click through. If there isn't, I also think that's a great idea of something to put on. So I'm going to write that down as something.
Yeah, apparently Generation Zs are more interested in perks, but Generation Xers are more interested in stability. So, it might be one of those tools that would be helpful for folks, especially you grab them in for the interview, but that's when you can really work to decide how to retain.
I'm going to write that down to look into as well. Perfect. Okay. So, all right. So let me show you what happens. I have an account, but say I were to click on register, it's going to ask you for the program name. I will tell you that. Okay. So I'm going to click in here, even though I'm not going to do it. For organization name, if you're planning to use this as an alliance, I would put your alliance name there. I'm just looking over here. So Greater Newark Shared Service Alliance, if I look at the list, they have their posting positions. You just put in, instead of the individual center name, if you're using this as an alliance, you would put your alliance name there. And then the address of your CCR&R, the contact number, email, and you have to click this consent down here. Once you submit this form, I'll show you what happens next, but they can set up an account also. Say you have an alliance account, each of us could have individual center accounts as well. They don't have to. If you're choosing to use this as an alliance, and we'll go over some of the benefits and some of how that's working, you can just do that, but they can have a center account as well. It would just, the idea of using it as an alliance would be to kind of save that time piece, right? So as a coordinator, if you have an alliance account, you might be the first line of, you're looking at the resumes that are coming in. You're seeing if this is a good fit for the position that is posted from that center. So the center would submit the job posting to you. You would post the job. You may do a printout when you get in of these are the categories, so they submit it to you, you post the job, you are viewing the numbers and the accounts that come in, the applications, and you set up a phone screening. You do that initial screening before you decide whether to pass that applicant on to the center or not. I think if you do that, one of the things that's really important is to have conversations about it with your alliance members, right? What is the procedure going to be? Is there, once I pass a candidate to you and we have a conversation about it, how long, within what time period are you going to reach out to set up an in-person interview? How am I going to follow up to see whether that happens? What are the qualifications? So if somebody has, I don't want to have an in-person interview if the candidate doesn't have A, B, and C, you have those conversations, and you probably have, some rubric in writing or some procedure and way that you're going to communicate. Maybe after you do the phone screening and you think they're a good candidate, you send your notes and the resume to the director, and then they can review it to let you know if they're going to be setting up an in-person interview. If they're not, they're going to let you know so that you can reach out to that candidate and close the workflow on our end here.
Amanda, before you move on, Janice Zarco has a question.
Sure.
Hi, Amanda. Sorry, I just didn't catch when you want to register for your alliance and the organization place on this application is where you put the alliance name and then the coordinator puts their name underneath.
Yes, that's what I would do. And you could put, your CCRNR name, like your, if you have an alliance name, it could just be Child and Family Resources, Shared Services Alliance. That's fine. Whatever you have arrived at that you want to put in here, I think is a good name. And then, yeah, your name in here, the address, your email and phone, because that's how it'll be posted.
Okay, thank you.
And then once you hit submit, I actually did one right before this. Let me see if I can never move this bar. There we go. I'll move you to the bottom. I'm moving all of you to the side. And I just submitted a demo one right before this. So this is what will happen when you submit that form. It's not instantaneous. It will say to you, these acquire for hire applications are processed Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But you should know it's like an actual person who's processing it. So if she's not working that day, or, this took me from the time I submitted the demo about, this says 1:20, and I think I got on with Amanda at about 1:15. So I must have submitted the application around 1:05 just to create the demo and see. So it took her about 15 minutes to respond to me. And she was like, hey, I think you're setting up a test account. This is what it'll look like when they do this. So this is what happens. So she gets this down here. I submitted this demo application and then she responds. The process from here is that they would receive an email from her confirming registration and asking to set up your password. So it'll look like this: an acquire for hire registration request from Amanda Descalo or whoever it is. So you would get this email next. If you don't get that email, you can always reach out to me and I'll reach out to Jessica and take care of it for you.
If we don't, because she's on vacation or something, how long do you want us to wait before we send you that email?
I would assume that if she's on vacation, somebody else is checking and maybe it's just like less frequently. But if you don't get something that day, let me know.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll follow up. This is the first time I've requested a demo account from her. So I'm assuming she's pretty quick, but. And then, okay, so let me go back. Where was I? Okay, so, oh no, this is not where I was. Hold on. Okay, so once you have an account, you've already registered, you've gotten your password, you've done whatever it's asked you to do. From then on, you would click into manage account to get in. So you'll click on manage account. I'm already signed in to another demo. Oh no, this is to the, okay, so I set up a United in Care account. None of these jobs are active, but this is what your dashboard would look like if you had already posted jobs when you sign in to acquire for hire. And it's very much like another job posting site. The jobs is here at the top. You can create a new job posting. You can also turn these back on. You can pause them. You can look at the location. You can duplicate, you can preview, or you could throw out. If you want to, like, you're done with this job, you're not posting this job anymore, you want to get rid of it. You can ready to turn it back on. So this one's paused. I'm not going to turn it on because I don't want it to show up, but you can turn them on and off and keep them here. And you can create new ones over on the side. So this is what I was saying about the different fields. If you were going to use this as an alliance, I would probably create a Word document of this. So when somebody wants to post a job, they know the information they have to create for you. They need to give you the job title. There's a spot in here for a summary, a spot in here for duties. What are the requirements? What are the nice to haves? What are the benefits? You can choose to show a salary. You can also choose to not show a salary by checking that. I think showing a salary is important in today's world. Require attaching a resume or not, and auto renew the job posting at the end of the time period. And then there's also some drop-down menus here. Sorry. Minimum education, job type, full-time, part-time, seasonal, contract, all of that. Is it remote? Category gives you a lot of choices. These are also not required. There's no, you don't have to choose these sections. Workflow, candidate procedure. I set up a workflow in here. I'll show you that in a minute. And minimum experience, location across New Jersey. What we do, the alliance that United in Care is statewide, but your alliances are more geographically based, so it's a little easier. I used to note, say up in the top, say I was posting a job in Rockaway, I might say like Amanda's childcare center, and then Rockaway, oh my gosh, New Jersey. So it's noted the location. And then you could put in the summary, Amanda's childcare center is hiring, located in Denville or wherever the town is that you want. You can put all that information in there. Available admins, if you want to, there's users here you can add. So I just had it set up to myself. I did the screening and then I would pass them on. And then save or post job is down at the bottom. I am not going to save this. Well, I'll save it, but I'm not going to post it. I'm actually, I guess I'm not, because it's going to want me to fill in all the required areas first. So you can create jobs and then they will show up here. You can save them and not post them yet. So say you create it and then you want somebody to look it over. You can do that. You save it, you copy it, you ask them if this is accurate and meets the requirements. And then when they give their approval, you can go ahead and post the job. And then, so here's incoming. As you get resumes, they'll show up in here. It'll tell you is the name, is there a resume attached? Is there a cover letter, the date and the job that it went to? You can click into these. I'm not really going to do that because they're actual people.
Candace,
Candidate,
did you have another question? You're good. Okay, great. Thank you. I just didn't want to overlook you.
here's if I had any open jobs. Again, the same kind of thing. If I had open jobs, the candidates would be here. What their name, resume, cover letter, date, job description, and then you can give them a rating. Here's a listing of people that you hire. So when you go to a candidate, you can, just like you can in Indeed, you can say like you're screening them, they're in the interview process, you're checking their references, you've hired them or you've chosen to not hire them, and then you can give them a rating in here. I will tell you that following that through and marking on here who you've hired, really, really, really important for me, because I cannot show the effectiveness of acquire for hire if people don't do that. You may hire, oh my goodness. There goes my cat.
Amanda, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so when you say somebody sets up an account and they get all like 6 resumes, right? They interview candidates, they don't hire some, they hire 2. But if you don't mark that you've hired them, I can't pull a report to show how many people and how helpful the site is being, how the effectiveness. I can't show the data, even though you may have hired people. And I think that's something that's common that even like on Indeed, sometimes people don't do. They just get the resumes, they print them out, and then they follow through on the interview process and the hiring process like they would have before we were using an app like this. But it's really helpful for me if you mark that you've listed a position and made a hire, or if you haven't, because then I can show that data when I'm doing my reporting and having conversations about, you know, what we can do better, what's working, all of that things, all of those things. So it's really, really helpful to me if you make a hire, if you take a candidate from here and say there was a candidate here who had submitted a resume, you can say like, did not hire. If you follow that through to the very end, it's really, really helpful to me.
Okay, so it starts on candidates and there'd be a drop-down menu which would automatically populate the hires tab.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so once you clicked that you had hired a candidate, it would go into here and then it would keep track of it. And then when I print my acquire for hire report, I can say accurately like, okay, 20 jobs were posted and 12 hires were made.
Are we able to do that as well to print a report, or are we doing
You
it by
can for
hand?
you should be able to for your individual account. At least if you couldn't print it, you could probably come on this hires. All of the hires that you made would be listed. So even if you couldn't print a report, because I actually don't see. I'm gonna ask some questions on reporting, but you could at least come to this page and say like in Q1 or say September through December, you know, you could look at the dates and see when hires were made to be able to create that report easily for yourself.
Okay, I guess my question with reports is things like how long a job had been posted, how long it took us to hire. Like there'd be a lot of information if that can be included,
Yeah.
should that go somewhere for us to be able to, so we have something to report also.
Let me click. See, none of these are active, so I can't show you. All right, let's see what happens here. I'm gonna print this. Oh, I turned this one on. Okay. So right now, like, see when I made that active, it'll show you there was 79 views and 1 application submitted, 1 incoming, but then when that person who was looking at this job, they were never moved to the candidate. So you have to move them over and follow that as you go through. Once you have candidates, like if I were to click into her, I could move her into the candidate column. And then from there, decide if I'm going to hire, not move forward, that sort of thing.
Thank you.
And it should tell you. Like this will tell you when it was paused, posted, preview. So you can see what it looks like. Now I need to go back. And I want to unpost this. Okay. So you also have the ability, and I created one. Here's all applicants, they'll come in here. And you can keep track of them that way. So if you want to export them, you want to like filter them to another job, tab them, put them somewhere else, you can do all of that. And you can create a workflow here. I created one just called candidate procedure. So you can look at, you can create new ones. Say you wanted a different workflow for a different job, but I did just this one. And it goes through the steps of the interview. So schedule a phone interview, perform phone interview. And once you get into the candidate spot, it will go through these workflow steps. These are the steps that will show up in the candidate position. After the phone interview, we're going to perform a in-person interview. You could add a step in here. Say you wanted to add in between schedule in-person interview and perform phone interview. Say I wanted to meet with center director to discuss the candidate. So you know if this is where it fell apart. You could put this in here. So you do the phone interview, you perform the phone interview, then you meet with the center director. So if the candidate goes aside and is no longer being considered at this process, at this step, you'll know that's when it happened. Then they schedule the phone interview. I mean, the in-person interview, then they perform the interview. Then maybe I added this one in. A lot of centers have like a working interview. They have somebody come back in. They, you know, have them in the classroom for 20 minutes, an hour. Then they do a reference check and then extend an offer. So once somebody goes to the candidate phase, you'll have all of these steps in that candidate line.
Per Brianna's previous question, would this also give you dates when you enter the accomplishment?
Yeah, yeah.
So that could track the workflow that
Yeah.
you're talking about, Brianna. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think this is really important, adding this meet with the center director one in here. I will tell you that, and I do want to save a couple of some time in a little bit for those of you who are using it as an alliance to talk about how you're doing it. I think this step is really, really important, because if a center director is not comfortable with taking your, I'm not sure what the word is, advice, guidance, insight as
Input.
to whether, yeah, as to whether this person, a lot of times, if the conversation and the understanding is not really well developed, then center directors sometimes get a candidate from that's been through a phone screening that's ready to be passed on for an in-person interview, and they don't want to interview them. Well, and they'll have reasons, but that's why I think having those conversations ahead of time is really, really important. So that you're not screening all these candidates and then they get to them and they don't want to have the in-person interview for some reason. So planning ahead and really, really taking that time, I think, is super important. Sorry. You can add additional users. Okay, you can create one. You can create locations. So say you had 4 towns, like I'm in Morris County. If I wanted to add, if I had centers in Rockaway, Denville, Parsippany, Dover, I could add those in. So then you could select locations. There's a calendar here. You can connect to your calendar. And there's also some settings that you can, like, here's a response email setting, an event. This is the letter that you'll get when you see you have an application. You can add, turn them on, don't send, prompt before sending, send automatically. And there's also up at the top, where did it go? I think it's back another page.
Amanda, one more
Yeah.
question for you regarding this.
Mhm.
I'm one of the newer alliances. So my question is, would you be willing to come to do a Zoom with the alliance, or is that really more on us to review this with them?
To talk about just like the benefits of,
No, just to guide them through how to use it. So should my alliance decide that they don't want me as the coordinator being a middleman for them, but would you be willing to talk to the
Yeah,
alliance to give them
absolutely.
guidance? Okay,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Just
Yeah.
so they get the proper information.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that I want to mention, Brianna, again, a great question. And Amanda has done this for other alliances because the platform itself has so many great resources on it. If there is something that your alliance is working on that would be beneficial, maybe Maria, you want to jump in here and say something. You can ask Amanda to come and talk about what the resources are on the platform that are just specific to the area you're talking about. So if I'm not giving anything away, Passaic County has had Amanda Descala come and talk about finance and creating financial documents, et cetera, where you can find those resources. Maria, do you want to add something to that?
Can you guys hear me? Because my computer keeps flashing in and out. That's why I don't have my video on, because it would I would lose you
That's
guys.
okay.
No, actually, you got it in a nutshell. Amanda did a great job, where she did an overview, but then she really went into the financial piece, which was the piece that they really wanted to talk about and look at, because we're working on budgeting and contingency plans. So she did that. If I recall correctly, Amanda, you also talked about marketing a little bit on there as well. So we went over that as well, and finding great training opportunities for them through the platform. We kind of covered a little bit of everything we were going on, but she did a great job of showing them how they can get the paperwork and different areas, and especially how to use it to financial.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Maria. So I know that this conversation is predominantly about how to use the acquire for hire component, but I don't want us to lose sight that there are so many other great resources there, and Amanda Crostascala is available to help you and your members hone in on those sections that are of greatest benefit to you, depending on what your alliance chooses to work on. So that was a good place to just insert that commercial.
Yeah, even if it's something like succession planning, right? Like we can click through and I can put together. And sometimes it's something really simple, like in the marketing toolkit, there is a phone interview guide and a guide to like how a director would want somebody else to give a tour. And sometimes those things seem so simple and small, but if that's not something that you've ever done, just like saying to somebody, this is how we answer the phones is a really basic, simple first step to, delegating some responsibility when you're a director trying to do it all. And you're like, oh, somebody else can answer the phones for me. Look at this. It helps you build towards that. It really does. So we can pull stuff from different, it's on the kitchen counter. Just really simply and pull together whatever it is you're looking for, even if it's not in an already nice little bundle. Okay, let me go back and share. I want to show you. Okay, so there was a place. I saw it and now I don't see it anymore. Let me go back and come in again. I don't know if you saw this, but there was a spot in the very beginning where there was a little tab that said interview guide. Now I'm not seeing it. Here it is. Virtual interview questions. So you can add these. Okay, congratulations, you made it to the video section. You will be able to do retakes. You can like ask a question. You can require a video or a text answer. So you can put some questions in here if you want to do that in the job posting. And now I see, so I had to click into the job posting to get that to come up. But that might be something that's really beneficial. Say if you had a director who was uncomfortable with you doing that initial screening, because if you decided to pass it to them, they could, in actuality, look at this after you passed it to them. You could pass this too. And there's also, maybe that's something that you agree upon as an alliance. You set up a set of like, what are the pre-screening interview questions going to be for each person? And if you come back into here, there's some interview guides here, which is really helpful. I know a lot of directors have said they just print this out right before. It helps them, have some phones. Here's a phone screen template, a reference check template, a general template, and some face-to-face interview guides and questions. A lot of people use this part too. Here's some employment forms, tools and postings. This section is really, really great. It really is really comprehensive. Goals, job ads, more templates. There's even as you go on, like an employee handbook, an employee orientation toolkit. There's also performance appraisals and payroll practices and all kinds of things in here. So this is a great piece of the platform. And again, there's no reason for anybody to spend, we have so many other things where we want to be investing our time, that these kinds of things are similar from place to place. And there's really no need for a program to spend a lot of money creating these when they're already here, and you can invest that time other places. I will show you, and I'll add to the platform, the NJYC password protected page. Okay, so here is the Acquire for Hire flyer that you can use. It just goes over like, what are the challenges right now in hiring? What are the solutions? How do I get started? This is not even the updated one. I need to go in and fix this. This is a template version, but you could do this too. If you wanted to use this for your, your individual, you could edit this, you could take the one that I have and edit this to log into the ECE shared services platform. You could even say like our alliance or organization name is whatever it is, programs for parents, or if you have a name, Greater Newark Shared Services Alliance, or if you're just using your CCR&R, and then you could use this with your alliance members too, just so they know, like, okay, where do I go? How do I do? You know, we can customize this, or you can customize it. But I can do that for you too. Say you wanted the website or the steps, you know, we can put that in there. And then there's another flyer of frequently asked questions. This is the one I was showing you, but it's just specific to New Jersey.
So this is something that could be distributed to their membership once they have a membership.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And then it's a conversation, you know, do they want to access the platform as individual centers and set up individual accounts? Or is that something that they feel as a group would be beneficial to save the time and have the coordinator, you know, taking that as one of the things. I know 2 people said that they were doing that already as an alliance. I don't know if those 2 are willing to share who they are and how it's going.
I've been using it. We've been looking for lead teachers, assistant teachers, and subs. We've been getting quite a few candidates. I can't say that all of them have been a great fit as of yet, but I have been able to pass along quite a few. I am doing that first round interview screening process and then passing along my summary along with their resumes to the alliance groups. And then I'm giving them a 48-hour window to let me know to contact them. And if they're not going to contact them, then they need to let me know so I can let the candidate know. So, and it's been working well for us.
I think that's a really important step. I'm glad because
Absolutely.
that could be where it falls apart. So I think that's
Yeah.
really important. Yeah.
Yep.
Are you sending the resumes to all the alliance members or to specific alliance members?
I am sending to whoever's looking for that particular position. So,
Okay.
you know, because I have different areas in Ocean County, obviously, we're kind of spread out. So the candidate will let me know what areas they're interested in being in, if it's Tom's River and Brick or Jackson or, you know, South, you know, they let me know where they're willing to travel, and then I will send it to my centers in those areas.
Janice Zarco from 4Cs of Union County says that they've been using it to post agency job openings.
Okay.
Yes, my quality manager has opened up, I believe, an account for 4Cs, and we have our own postings on so far.
That's a really good idea. That's interesting because I know they did receive, we did some CCR&R accounts. That's really interesting. That's good to hear. That makes me pleased. I like that people are using it. Like I said, this is, it's a way that we can do something right now. And I think that, you know, there's not a lot of things that we can do that are, you know, instant, but we can save money in these kinds of things for programs right now. And I think that's helpful.
Yep.
Anything that we can do with the staffing crisis for most of them, you know, I think is important.
Right. She's not able to be on the call today, but Camille Leith from Child Care Solutions of Middlesex County has been also doing this with the posting. She posts on behalf of the directors and then does a screening of candidates and then tries to set up interviews for the director to then interview their own candidates. The problem is that a lot of the directors in her area are spending 80 to 100% of their time in their classrooms, and then they don't get back to her in a timely manner. And then they lose the candidate who probably has also gotten requests from other places as well. Yeah. So we know that that's an issue, and that's why we want to get people in jobs so the directors are out of the classrooms, so that they can take care of this kind of stuff. But that was her specific issue.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's two ways. Somebody's using it as more of like an area posting. This is the posting that we need. These are the areas where the candidate is willing to work. And the center specific is another way. I think Greater Newark Shared Services Alliance is doing it like that as well, with the center specific
Yep.
postings.
And in that instance, for the Greater Newark Shared Services Alliance, I'm sorry, Denise had to get off the call to do something else. Part of the issue is that and this may be true in your counties or becoming true, especially depending on what your relationship is with school districts, is that the job requirements are very different if you're looking to place somebody in a school district funded classroom, if you're looking to place somebody in a Head Start funded classroom, Head Start preschool versus Head Start infant and toddler. So they have to be very, very specific in the types of people and their qualifications that they're looking for, because not every candidate will meet a general population of, jobs. But so they've just been customizing it as Amanda said, posting it in the way so that it's for a very specific program. But the project coordinator had been doing the screenings,
Yeah.
and then funneling them off to the directors.
Sorry.
Thereby not just saving money, but also saving time.
Yeah, yeah.
And we haven't gotten into this too much yet with all the newer folks, but these are the kinds of things that you want to be capturing in some kind of a way, so that you are then demonstrating, just like Amanda says, she wants to be able to demonstrate the impact that the platform is having. You want to be able to demonstrate the impact that your alliance is having as well. So these are the kinds of stuff that we will continue to talk about in our individual conversations too.
Any other questions on the application, acquire for hire, hiring and engaging staff, or really any other, questions about the platform?
Just if you could review the pros and the cons for me, whether or not the shared services coordinator does the screening process, or whether each individual director does their own. Obviously one may be better than the other depending on the director, but have people found that there's pros or cons to either one for acquire for hire?
So I'll let some of the others that are using it speak as well, but to me, it's what are the members of the alliance telling you that they prefer? If everybody wants to do their own screenings, you doing the screenings is probably not the best choice. If they want to set up their own accounts, then that's not to say that sometimes I think through conversation and relationship building, they wouldn't become more comfortable. Sometimes I think people are less likely to hand something like that over because they don't have a strong relationship with each other and with the alliance. It's alliance building is really, really slow work. And something that they might not be comfortable with now, maybe 6 months or a year from now, they would be comfortable with. So maybe it's something that evolves over time. And conversations happen, and it's a very interesting dynamic, I will say. And it's different from group to group too.
That's right.
I think it's very hard to predict what a group would want or say, or what would work best. It's more like really taking the time to have those conversations and hear what they're saying and start there.
I think that's a really good point, Amanda.
Yeah.
We do talk about that a lot in our individual sessions, that relationship building is huge. And if people aren't building those, not just the trust with you as a project coordinator, but with one another,
Yeah.
they're not coming together yet as an alliance, and you have to work very hard at making that happen.
Yeah.
But also in answer to your question, Brianna, I think one of the things that two of the people who aren't on the call right now have said, in the project coordinator being the pre-screener, is that they are finding out that sometimes a person who responds to an ad is not a qualified candidate for what the director or that program is looking for. And so rather than taking up the director's time and sending over somebody that they're going to interview virtually or whatever they're going to do, and finding out, no, they don't have the right qualifications. No, they don't even live in a community where
Yeah.
they're going to be able to work for us. And I know, Lindsay, you could probably talk to this too. Geographically, some people, especially at the salary levels that they're making, even if they want a job and might be willing to go to another part of the county, transportation is a huge issue for a lot of our folks.
Yeah.
Greater Newark Shared Service Alliance, transportation just within the city of Newark is a real problem that people, can't get from one side of town to the other in, by 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, if that's when they have to open or something like that. And so being able to talk to the candidate in advance of sending them off to the director is just a time savings measure. It's not taking away what the directors want to have, which is direct input into whether or not this is a good candidate. It's a pre-screening. The project coordinator is not making final decisions. Lindsay, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and that's how I've kind of done it from the beginning, because I was doing job fairs before Acquire for Hire and trying to help my group with recruiting and staffing. And basically how I always kind of told them, like, I'm just making sure that they have the qualifications that you require for the position. Like, because whether or not I feel that they could be a perfect fit or not, if they have the qualifications, I'm going to pass them along to you, because it's your right to determine whether or not they're going to be a good fit for you, not mine. I'm not running your school. So, I've made that very clear from the get-go. Like, I just want to make sure that they have the experience that you require for the position that you have open, the education level, and, just to get a feel that they are good at working with people, talking with people in general. So that's how I've kind of, set the tone for it from the beginning.
Lindsay, can I just ask, I think just listening to you, it sounds like also this is a great relationship builder with your directors, because you get to know what their needs really are.
Absolutely.
And therefore you're able to really help them as part of that liaison for the alliance, and because you're able to actually build that ongoing relationship with them.
Yes, absolutely. And this is also something that we talk about, on a monthly basis. Like, I have my meeting tonight, and one of the very last things that we do is we talk about any new or, outstanding needs or things that they have that we could do together as a group. And then we always talk about staffing. Okay, where are you at? What positions do you still have open? How many, interviews did you do last month from candidates that we passed along, and this and that? That's something that we, discuss very often. So that way we can keep track of what's working and what's not. So it has really helped me build a great relationship with my alliance, because me building my relationship with my alliance, Amanda knows, was a very slow start, because I'm not the original shared service coordinator that was with our group. So it has been, a great tool for me to use in the relationship building department too.
Any other questions? I think it's great even for the alliances here to just learn from each other and who's using it and who's not. There's 9 of you who are not using it yet. So I think hopefully this will be a great time to, whether it's as a group or as individual centers, to start using it. And help some of the programs, realize the savings in this area and hopefully start to work on these staffing needs. So.
Janice Zarko has a question.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw something about, you talked about a phone interview initially, or screening, but I saw on one of those web pages that you were showing us on the platform, something about a video, people making a video. Is that something that's just offered, or like, where would you do a video? Would that be a screening or?
Yeah, so I think, hold on, let me go back in and share. I have never used that. I don't know if anybody on here has used that, but I think it was inside here. It was in the job posting. Yeah. So I think what happens is you fill in this, you fill in the job, and then when you add virtual interview questions, you can either set it to be, so it's the person who's filling out the application who would be doing the video or the text. So it looks like you can set this to be text too, although, yeah. So they can, so say, I'm trying to think of what, tell me about your experience. Let's just put in here for now. And then you can set this to either require a text so they could type in their answer, or they can create a video, whichever one you would choose. I don't know why it's doing that. And then you would, maybe you had another question or a third or a fourth, and then when you save them and post the job, these questions would be listed as a required part of applying. So then say, like, if I come on to apply, I would, if I submit my resume, a cover letter, and then before I could submit, I would have to answer these questions by either text or video. That's actually kind of interesting for the generational question that we were asking before, because like I would never in a million years want to do a video question, but like my daughter, who's, 19, would probably think that was a really great way to fill in. So that might be one of those times where, maybe you have different opportunities, it doesn't look like you could check both, which I think would be interesting. So you'd have to choose, but it would be interesting to see, if you tried text one time and video another, was one more successful or not. But you also don't have to use this piece. You can just leave this out, type in no questions, and just do the details here and let them apply like they normally would.
So it's part of the application process, not that telephone
Yeah.
There isn't anybody in our current shared services groups who's using that. But it is, I think it's a very interesting thought and very interesting, especially based on the question that Brianna raised earlier about generational. So I was not aware that this was even a part of it, an opportunity in here. So that's really cool to know about that.
Yeah, I actually didn't know you had a video option until I saw it right then. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Again, I have to look it up because I have so many emails, but I am going to put my email in the chat for you. I think everybody has both emails by now.
I only have one of your emails, the shared services, New Jersey.
Shared resources, NJ, yeah.
That's the correct email. That's the best email.
That's fine. It's either that, but the interesting thing I find with the more emails that I have is that they all come onto my phone and they like intermingle, and I don't then know where it's coming from, but it's either Amanda@gmail or shared resources NJ@gmail, and either one is totally fine. I'll put them both. Make sure I spelled them right. I think so, yes. Okay. And yeah, if you need help, getting your program, your alliance members on, or you're looking for a Google form or anything like that, just let us know, and we can help with that as well. So I hope this is useful for you. It's one of my favorite parts of the platform because it is something that we can do right now. And I think directors right now are appreciative of anything that can give them some relief to something right now.
So the other thing that I want to do, in addition to thanking Amanda for this, is to put in a plug for the platform. There are so many excellent resources in there on so many different topics.
Yeah.
Anything that you think you might be talking about with your alliance membership, you're going to find some already developed materials that you can use. It does not mean that you can't customize them. It does not mean that you can't have the conversations that make it much more specific to what your community of members is thinking about, but they are great resources and they are already developed. It's not like you have to rethink the wheel. So that's a really important part. I'd like to ask you to use the reactions emoji in the chat box and just give Amanda some feedback about how you think today's presentation went. She's always available if we want to invite her back again. And in the future for other kinds of meetings like this. There were a couple of people who contacted me prior to the meeting who said that they were not going to be able to attend, mostly due to a DFD meeting or some other thing that they were involved in. This recording will be made available shortly so that people who weren't able to attend can see it, or that for those of you who want to go back and review some of the information, you will be able to do that. A number of side topics came up today that I thought were great. And this is the reason why you've all been invited to join the community of learners for the project coordinators. That's a great place for us to talk with each other about what's happening, how it's being implemented in other places, get ideas, give suggestions. And so I hope that the vast majority of you will be participating in that. Gosh, I lost the date right now. I think it's either June 4th or June 5th.
June
So,
5th.
Thank you. I knew I had it somewhere, but I didn't have it on the calendar in front of me. So thank you for devoting so much time out of your day today. This is really helpful. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. I learned something new every time I pay attention to what's going on the platform. And Amanda is a great resource. She also knows a great amount about shared services. If you haven't seen her book, it has a lot to do with her experience in the United in Care plan. Oh, look at this. Two people holding it up. So that's great. Oh, three. So you're prepped. And I think that you will find it. I think you will find some of it helpful. Some of it is much more related to working with family child care providers. And that's a slightly different animal. So, but all of the things that she's talking about are applicable in many different kinds of ways to the work that we're doing predominantly with center-based, or if that's the